Lesson 16. I have no neutral thoughts.
Hi there. Are you ready to delve into one of the most significant discussions about the power of our own thoughts? This truly highlights the immense value of the mind training we're undertaking through these videos. Let's dive into Lesson 16 and pave the way for a fresh approach to our mind and life today.
I have no neutral thoughts.
This lesson introduces a pivotal concept that will be practiced in various forms throughout the course. Every thought we have holds power and creates an effect. In fact, as the lesson puts it,
Everything you see is the result of your thoughts. There is no exception to this fact.
couldn't it be more clearly stated than that? It doesn't matter whether we perceive our thoughts as big or small, powerful or weak. There is no such thing as an idle thought. What's important is distinguishing whether our thoughts are true or false. True thoughts create their own likeness. False thoughts make their own. Both give rise to the perception of entire worlds. Let's emphasize this concept. Our thoughts shape the perception of the world we see. Essentially, we can align with two different perceptions. We can see two different worlds. One world is generated by our true thoughts, while the other is the product of our false thoughts.
Every thought you have contributes to truth or to illusion. Either it extends the truth or it multiplies illusions.
In other words, with every thought, we decide whether to sync with the world of truth or with the world of illusions. Every thought either brings peace or war, every thought brings love or fear. There's no middle ground, no neutral thoughts.
I have no neutral thoughts.
The lesson suggests that we might be tempted to dismiss fear thoughts as unimportant, trivial, and not worth bothering about. However, we need to recognize them as powerful and equally destructive, even though unreal. We will practice this idea in various forms throughout the course, but let me make a slight detour at this point. It can indeed be unsettling to grasp the full extent of this teaching, especially when considering the involuntary and often uncontrollable thoughts that arise in our minds. If we start to believe that these thoughts have power, we may begin to fear them, yet find ourselves unable to control them. So, what can we do? First, let's simply recognize these thoughts as they cross our minds, without suppressing, denying, or even judging them. If we try to suppress them or denying them, they may even gain more power. The initial step is to acknowledge their presence. Consider also that what usually happens is that these thoughts pop up while we're unmindful, like when we're daydreaming. The dynamics of either following or suppressing these thoughts, or whatever response we unconsciously choose, is the exact opposite of recognizing or acknowledging them. There's already power in this act of acknowledgement. Then, we can call upon the higher power to guide us to realign these thoughts with a more enlightened vision, shifting from fear to love, from the ego's reaction to a more spiritual response. In any case, we should never foster attachment to these thoughts. Let's not believe them, let's not identify with them. Let's allow our inner teacher to gently realign them with a more spiritual understanding. That's a great power in that, and we will train ourselves again to be able to do that throughout this video series. But let's go back to our lesson. Here's how to practice today's exercise. Let's close our eyes and search our mind for a minute. Try to find all the thoughts we have, whether they seem big or small to us. This might actually be quite difficult. We may find that we have a tendency to dismiss some thoughts rather than others. Every thought that occurs to us is a suitable subject for applying today's idea. Let's first repeat the idea to ourselves.
I have no neutral thoughts.
I have no neutral thoughts.
I have no neutral thoughts.
Then, as each thought crosses our mind, let's hold it in our awareness for a moment while we say to ourselves,
This thought about that is not a neutral thought.
That thought about this is not a neutral thought.
This thought about my ex is not a neutral thought.
That thought about the bills to pay is not a neutral thought.
This thought about how I look is not a neutral thought.
Let's keep going until we reach that minute or so of our practice period. We can also use this idea throughout the day whenever we catch ourselves having a particular thought that unsettles us. In this case, this form is the one the course recommends.
This thought about that is not a neutral thought, because I have no neutral thoughts.
This thought about my future is not a neutral thought, because I have no neutral thoughts.
This thought about not being good enough is not a neutral thought, because I have no neutral thoughts.
This thought about my boss is not a neutral thought, because I have no neutral thoughts.
Let's aim for 4 or 5 practice periods today, but only if we find them relatively effortless. Otherwise, 3 is enough. And feel free to reduce the duration of the exercise if you start feeling some discomfort. How empowering is that? Do you realize how this training of your mind is important to achieve your happiness and peace of mind, and even to learn how to have a more effective impact in the world you navigate in your day-to-day life? You're doing great! See you tomorrow for another powerful lesson. Quick reminder, if you haven't yet watched the introduction to this video series, be sure to do so, as it lays the foundation for our journey together. Just click on the video link that will appear on your screen shortly.
Did you enjoy the video and find it helpful? Please give it a like and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We have a new lesson every day. And if you've been with us for a while, please consider supporting the channel. There's a lot of love behind these videos. Check out the video description for more details.